Uh, Katanga. Okay, so it just occurred to me that when you've got left and right in politics, there's an interesting sort of analogy, like what's the word? Convergence. That's probably not the right word. Let me just think. Well, a parallel. Okay, an interesting parallel with the left and right, the left and right brains. You know, it seems the left is very much on a meta level. It's about conformity, getting everyone to be the same, you know, whereas the right is about the right is typically conservative, to conserve, to preserve, you know, keeping things the way they are. And one of the reasons I don't really much like politics is because it vacillates like a schizophrenic from one side to the other. You know, rather than finding a balance. One of the things I hate about politics is that it doesn't try to find a balance. It's constantly swapping from one side to the other. It's like a pendulum swinging from one side to the other. It's not at all balanced, although it aims to be, or it appears to look like it's looking for a balance. It's reflective of the problem between the left brain view of things and the right brain view. Now, on the surface, it seems like, oh, let's get everyone, let everyone be equal, you know, and that sort of seems to fit with things like Christian, like the Christian doctrine of that we're all born equal in the eyes of God, right? So you would think it's okay to be a Christian and a communist, right? They seem to fit together on the surface. The problem is what happens with communism is that you end up with a hierarchy still of people that claim to be that the people that most know what it means to be a communist. Any sort of centralized power structure is going to have the devil try and take charge. I mean, even Christianity, even the most highest example of Christianity, still has God as at the top. Now, I would argue that if there is a God, God wants to have equals. If I was a God, if I was the God, I would want to be surrounded by equals. You know, I don't want to be worshipped. Why would I want to be worshipped? You know, you've got to be fucking insane if you want to be worshipped. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you'd want to be insane. You'd have to be insane if you want people to worship you. I mean, what good is that? How can you enjoy your life when all the people around you are worshipping you? I mean, you've got to be insane if you think that's like a good way to live, right? It's fucking obvious, you know. Ah, dear. So conservatism is basically a way of like sticking to how things are, more like animals, where we're honest about the hierarchy of nature, you know. Whereas communism is about being dishonest about it. That's the main difference, you know. It's between honesty and dishonesty. I'm not saying the right is right. Conservatism is right. I mean, this is the problem with the English language. Again, it's like it uses these different words, like the right hand side, the right hand, and the word right, as in correct, right? But also the word right, as in right, you write with your right hand. For fuck's sake, this is so depressing talking about because it's so complicated trying to untangle all these phonetic, what are they called? Bombastic, fucking nightmarishly stupid fucking similarities in terms of the sound of words, you know. You've got right on the right hand side, you've got right which is correct, and you've got right which is to use the written word with you, you know. And also you've got right also, which is like a ritual, you know. Are there any other types? I've just 4 words, right, in phonetically that have got completely different meanings, and they all sound exactly the same, right? Yeah. This is why I would advocate a much simpler language. That we should have a language with about 4,000 different words, and that's it. You know, instead of the English language has got like over 200,000, as far as I know. Which nobody can like seem to like master the English language. It's impossible. We should have a language that most people can master. Maybe not everyone, but 95, 98% of people should be able to master language. The idea, I believe, is that we should have a language that everyone should use and that is concrete. And we should do away with the written word. You know, there's no point in the written word. It doesn't serve us at all. It's like, it's a monster. It's like a Frankenstein monster. And we'd be a lot better off without it. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. It really is. How can I prove this? I can't prove it. I can refer you to things like the Book of Enoch, where it tells you very specifically that the written word is a great evil. But all the left brain fucking people that have taken over the religions have got rid of the Book of Enoch, because it tells you how to. Let me just tell you this, right? Let me just tell you how to recognize fallen angels. What does that say? Why church fathers suppressed the real story of the fallen angels. Forbidden Mysteries of Enoch. Elizabeth Clare Prophet. Fallen angels and origins of evil. See, the left brain people, they're going to want somebody in authority to tell them what to do and what to think, right? So you can't reason with these people because they always want someone in authority to tell them what to do. Now, I'm not wearing authoritative clothing, right? So straight away, people are going to disregard, left brain people are going to disregard what I'm saying here. They're going to think, oh, he's not wearing a special hat. He's not wearing a special bit of clothing. He's not got lots of people behind him, making him seem like a sort of the top dog, as in like a sort of a dog, you know. He's not the top dog, you know, so we can't trust him. You know, we're not going to believe what he says because he's not the top dog, like an animal. He's not the top animal, scavenging animal, you know. Ah, dear. I might have to just read you some stuff out of this book, actually. It's going to take a little while, but I want to go over it because okay. You probably won't understand this, most people. I mean, I struggle a little bit to understand it because it's written by a professor, this guy, Ian McGilchrist. It's from the book, The Master and His Emissary. This is 10 years ago, 2009. So it's already quite ancient, you know, in modern terms. This is like almost an antique book, you know. But 10 years isn't such a long time, you know. Not in my mind, but for a lot of people, for young people, it probably seems like a long time. But how many people have read this book? You know, how many people watching this video have actually read this book? I probably none. Effectively zero, you know. And if you have watched it, read it, I'd like to hear about it, you know, and what you think about it. So I'm going to read just over a page of this book. It's quite a lot of words in a page, so it will take about 6 or 7 minutes probably to read. Even now, rates of depression do differ markedly between cultures, probably by as much as 12-fold, and such differences in rates of depression appear to be linked to the degree of stability and interconnectedness within a culture. Even being uprooted from your own culture, provided you take with you the way of thinking and being that characterizes the more integrated social culture from which you come, is not as disruptive to happiness and well-being as becoming part of a relatively fragmented culture. For example, rates of psychological disturbance in Mexican immigrants to the USA start at a low level, but increase in proportion to the time spent in the US. The lifetime prevalence of any mental disorder in one large study was 18% for Mexican immigrants with less than 13 years in the US, 32% for those with more than 13 years. But only for those born in the US did it approximate to at 49%, the national rate for the whole US. So if you still got your culture from a backward country like Mexico, your chances of mental health problems and depression are about a quarter of what they would be if you was born in the US, right? Yeah. So what does this mean? I'm just going to stop here because I'm going to carry on with this, but I just want to stop and analyze it as I'm going through it. These older cultures tend to maintain your level of happiness and mental health. Whereas when you get more technical and you've got more technology and stuff and more success and more money and stuff, your happiness and your mental health problems, you know, go down. You know, you got more mental health problems, you got less happiness, right? Now, the thing is, what you left brain people need to understand is that your left brain, right? Oh, it's that side. Your left brain, think about it. You know, what does it want? What is the whole point of your what you're trying to accomplish? Surely it's you want to be happy, right? You want to have a good life. You want to be successful. You want to be happy. The whole point of all the things you want to be, whether it's successful, raising a family, all this kind of stuff. You want to be a good religious person, whatever it is. Ultimately, you want to be happy. You want to be healthy. See, coming to America doesn't work. Coming to the USA from Mexico, it doesn't make you happier. There's some kind of problem. It's like it's not working. Now, you have to ask yourself, why is that? Now, the left brain person doesn't want to think about that. They've already got it sorted out. They've already got it like mastered in their mind. They already know that if they get so much like dollars per year, you know, or month or week, that means they're going to be happier. But all the statistics tell you that it doesn't work. You actually end up more depressed and more miserable, you know, and you've got mental health problems. So more technology, more of the written word, more education actually makes your life much worse. I mean, how do you measure whether your life is successful? The majority people believe that it's whether you're happy or not. That's basically the consensus. Is your life a success? Well, ask the question, are you happier? You know? Okay, we do know that if you're in extreme poverty and you can't afford to eat properly and stuff, and you can't get a shelter over your head, then a little bit extra money does make a lot of difference. But it doesn't make only a little bit extra. As soon as you can afford to eat properly and get proper shelter and stuff, keep yourself clean and stuff, once you've got that sorted out, it doesn't really matter how much more money you get. It doesn't improve your happiness. And in fact, most of the time, it makes you, if you've got more money and more technology and more education, it makes you more depressed and more miserable. Now, that doesn't fit with how you left brain people imagine life to be, but they are the facts. You know, that's what the facts tell us. You know, having more education and more money and more technology, all it does is make people more miserable, and at the same time it destroys the planet. Okay, it's the devil. This is what the devil does. This is what Satan does. He deceives you into thinking that more money and more technology and more education is going to make your life better and it's going to make you happier. But in actual fact, all it does is make you more miserable and more depressed. You know, this is statistical. They've done studies all around the world. They come up with the same conclusions. That's all it does, right? So let me carry on here. Over recent years, urbanization, globalization, and the destruction of local cultures has led to a rise in the prevalence of mental illness in the developing world. A massive study involving data regarding nearly 40,000 people across North America, Western Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and the Pacific Rim found that depression is being experienced more often and at younger ages, with more severe and more frequent episodes. In younger birth cohorts, generally, generation by generation, and in the USA has doubled since the Second World War. I just explained all that anyway. In a demonstration of the integrity of mind and body, it is not just mental health, but physical health that suffers when we are not socially integrated. See, one of the things I'm just going to stop here, and the problem with the written word and the church is it turns people, it basically gets a pincer hold on society and demands and is absolutely adamant that if you want to be part of any sort of spiritual movement and any sort of community, it has to be via the church, which is all based in the written word, right? And what happens? So, oh yeah, people in the church who go to church regularly do live a little bit longer. They do seem a little bit happier, but it's only a certain amount of people that are able to fit in. A lot of people just can't feel that they can fit in, and the more time goes on, the less people are able to fit in. So it fragments society. You know, it destroys the family. You know, and you people, you're so convinced by what you do. You're so convinced by the fact that religion must be a good thing, and when it's based, even though it's based on the written word, the reason being is that you're biologically and genetically programmed to be part of a community, right? Now, when you've got things in like the written word and all this technology and all these different, all the media and stuff, what happens? It automatically fragments society. So when you've got people that feel able to sort of like, they're so stupid that they can carry on going to church, right? They still feel part of a community, right? So they actually like feel better, they're healthier, they live longer. So statistically, it seems like they're doing the right thing. Just like having an animal as a pet is going to make you live longer and be healthier, and you know, and make you think you're doing the right thing. But actually, having a pet means that you're having to feed that animal loads of food that needs to be fucking hell. This is the problem with this kind of discussion, is that it becomes really laborious to explain to left brain people why what they're doing is wrong, even though it feels right to them, right? And it's the same with people that own pets. You know, you can't criticize them, you can't tell them that they're wrong, because they feel that it's right. Statistically, it seems that they're doing the right thing. You know, they're going to live longer, they're going to be happier. So how can you argue with them? They basically, no matter what you say, they won't take you seriously. It's the same with religious people. They're not going to take you seriously because everything seems to point to the fact that, well, they're doing right. God is telling them they're right. They're going to live longer. They're going to be happier. But what they're failing to see is that they're not looking at the big picture. You can't get left brain people, no matter what you do, no matter what evidence you put across, you can't get left brain people to look at the big picture. They can't do it. You know, it's like trying to get a vampire to see its reflection in the mirror. There is no reflection. They can't see it. You know, maybe they've got a little animal that they're keeping happy and feeding lots of nice like tuna fish sandwiches or tuna fish in jelly in their little packets and stuff. They're using up all the tuna fish. The salmon is farmed and it's full of nasty chemicals. Your animal you're keeping as a pet is going to die probably of horrible like cancer and stuff, and it's going to like have the last few years are going to be really terrible for it because it's going to die of cancer, and its body's going to be full of nasty chemicals. But they don't care because they like to stroke their pet and they like to see it doing all sorts of interesting things around the house and stuff. Okay, I know I'm dragging on a bit. The thing is, right, it's impossible. I'm trying to make this video, but I realised already right at the beginning anyway, I already knew this. It's virtually impossible to convince the people that most need to be like convinced. They're the people who do not listen, and it's like their ears are switched off. Their brain is switched off. Half their brain is it's not even working, and they're in the wrong side of their brain. Okay, let me just carry on. I'll struggle through the rest of this. A massive study involving data regarding nearly 40,000 people across North America, Western Europe, and the Middle East. Did I say this already? Asia and the Pacific Rim found that depression is being experienced more often and at younger ages, with more severe and more frequent episodes. In younger birth cohorts, generation by generation, and in the USA, had doubled since the Second World War. In a demonstration of the integrity of mind and body, it is not just mental health, but physical health that suffers when we are not socially integrated. Social connectedness predicts lower rates of colds, heart attacks, strokes, cancer, depression, and premature death of all sorts. In fact, the positive effects of social integration rival the detrimental effects of smoking, obesity, high blood pressure, and physical inactivity. According to Putnam, statistically speaking, the evidence for the health consequences of social connectedness is as strong today as was the evidence for health consequences of smoking at the time of the first Surgeon General's report on smoking. The protective effect of community is demonstrated by the interesting case of Roseto, a close-knit community of Italian immigrants in Pennsylvania, with largely traditional cultural ties, both the formal ones of churches and clubs and the informal ones that form the fabric of traditional Italian daily life. This community attracted medical attention in the 1940s because of a mysterious anomaly. Here was a rate of heart attack less than half the national average, despite having higher than average risk factors. So that means they smoked out a lot and ate loads of meat and saturated fat and all that kind of stuff, right? After the relationship with social connectedness was discovered, it was predicted that once the mobile younger generation moved away and began to reject the tight-knit Italian folk ways, the heart attack rate would begin to rise. By the 1980s, this prediction had come true. So we haven't got a sense of community. And there's things like the Enlightenment, which happened about 200 years ago, which is still having effects today, you know, where 200 years ago, nearly everybody believed in God. You know, like 98% of people, 99% of people believed in God, right? Nearly everybody went to church. But when the Enlightenment come along, maybe 200 to 400 years ago, people stopped going to church. People started becoming atheists, right? Now, the problem is, when you try to understand this, now, it's hard to explain. You basically can't explain it to left brain people. They don't understand the written word is a great evil. See, the written word basically led to the Enlightenment, and the Enlightenment has led to all this division in society, and the division in society has led to serious health problems, physical health problems and mental health problems, as well as overpopulation because of all the the technology that's led to better farming methods and better medical procedures and stuff, like more successful childbirths and medicines, you know, antibiotics and stuff. The population is absolutely exploded, right? This is going to have a serious impact. It might not happen straight away, but it's not happening straight away. But in the next few hundred years, it's bound to happen. We're going to use up all our resources much more quickly. Time is going to run out much more quickly. And all it's going to take is if we have like a serious volcano eruption, which has happened, you know, 600 or 700 years ago, maybe 1200 years ago, and half the world basically gets covered in toxic clouds of dust, right, that block out the sun. If that happens in the northern hemisphere, for example, 2/3 or 3/4 of the world's food is going to disappear, like more or less in about 2 or 3 years. You know, and then it's going to cause a huge fucking problem. When there's no food, everyone's going to go crazy and they'll start killing each other. And it could happen. Whereas if we had everything, if we had a much smaller population, we could deal with it a lot easier. You know, when there's a lot of people and when there's no food, then people will become. It will be much worse. and it's basically inevitable, because big volcanoes happen. You know, they happen inevitably. They happen every so many, you know, every 8 or 10 centuries. You get a very serious volcano, and we're due one. You know, we're due one now. It's only a matter of a matter of time. We're not going to carry on. We've gone like 600 or 700 years without any serious volcanoes. But when the next one happens, it's going to basically wipe out at least 90% of the population, and cause a whole load of shit for people, you know. Dear. I suppose there could be good sides to this, you know. For those that you want to live through an apocalypse, you know. Okay, let me just carry on now. It was predicted that once the mobile generation moved away and began to reject the tight-knit Italian folk ways, oh yeah, all this one can't help feeling would be understood easily enough by the right hemisphere, even if it remains opaque to the left hemisphere. Happiness and fulfillment are byproducts of other things, of a focus elsewhere. Now, I've tried to get this message across to people about when I was doing the work, but I haven't made one very specific video that I've tried to push, you know. I've made loads of videos, and they're a bit like, you know, dotted around all over the place, right? But the whole point of doing the work is that, or one of the benefits of doing the work is that the side effects mean that you're going to be happier. Just think about that while I quickly relieve my bladder. Not the narrow focus on getting and using, but a broader empathic attention. See, the thing is, right, the left brain tries to focus on its happiness. The problem with the left brain, right, I'm going to condense this conclusion into a little sound bite. The problem with the left brain is it focuses too much on its own happiness, and when it achieves its little goal, you know, whether it's more money or a family, you know, or getting a job, you know, or building its musculature and losing weight, or whatever it is, its little goal, it doesn't actually become happier. You know, it doesn't work. So it then creates another goal and tries to aim for that. And then when it achieves that goal, it finds that it's still not happy. So it has to go for another goal, and it carries on like this all through its life. Left brain people, like the 90% of people who are mainly left brained, they're constantly going through life trying to achieve these goals that don't make them happy. They think they're going to make them happy. They tell themselves that they're going to make them happy. But when they achieve the goals, they're not happier. It doesn't work. The left brain is absolutely useless at achieving happiness, and that's basically the whole purpose of life. Ask somebody what the purpose of life is, and they just basically going to say, well, you want to be happier and have a better life. What's your purpose in life? I want to have a better life. Well, how are you going about that? Well, I'm trying to make myself happy by getting more money, or getting a better job, or having a family, or whatever. They've got all these different reasons, all these different goals that they try to aim for, but none of them actually make them happier. In fact, a lot of the time they make themselves worse. That's why they have that saying, be careful what you wish for, because it might come true. What happens when you've got more money is you've got more responsibilities. It's a huge responsibility. It's a great big pressure on you, We now see ourselves in largely mechanistic terms as happiness, maximizing machines, and not very useful ones at that. Yet we are capable of other values and of genuine altruism, and in another Godelian moment, the prisoner's dilemma demonstrates that altruism can be, incidentally, useful and rational. In the real, practical, everyday world, what I have called the return of the right hemisphere is of ultimate importance. Now, the reason I mention this book is because it basically backs up, although I don't really like a lot of his language, and I find he's still basically he goes too easy on the left brain. I kind of partly agree with him. The left brain's got its place, but it's a servant. It should be a slave. The left brain ought to be a slave. And the left brain people are like slaves, but the thing is they've gained too much power over the right brain people. And they hate us because they can't control us. So they hate us and they persecute us. This is why it says in the Bible that the whore of Babylon, whore, which is a slave, of Babylon, which is the slave-like system, i.e. the devil, the left brain, the ultimate left brain power, or the architect from the Matrix, or Agent Smith, or the Train Man, or the Merovingian, from the Matrix films. They're all about controlling people. They want to control everything, but are they happy? Are they ever satisfied? They're never satisfied, are they? So, and the problem is with the left brain, when it gets dominant, the left brain, it never listens to the right brain. It doesn't listen to the right brain, and even if it does listen, it can't understand. You've got the written word, and you can't give it up. You feel totally dependent on it. You're like alcoholics dependent on alcohol, but it's the written word that you're dependent on, and the written word is destroying the world. And it's clearly wrong. So why can't you see it? Because you've got tunnel vision. The left brain is like tunnel visioned. It's looking at the small print. It's looking at the details all the time. It only makes little tiny steps. Whereas the right brain is like the intuition. It sees the big picture. It knows we need to chill out and get rid of the written word and live a more natural life. But you left brain people, you want to have spaceships. You want to go to other planets. You want to expand and go to other planets and have all loads of technology, and you like your mobile phones, your smartphones, you like your computers and your books and your Bibles and stuff. And these things are all like a trap. They're a trap. What I've realised is that we can't get, us right brain people, we can't get through to you. There's no way of getting through to you. And we've got to put up barriers. Myself, I have to put up barriers. if I don't put up barriers, if I don't become like a hermit and live on my own and avoid people, then you people will keep bombarding me with total nonsense and everything you think is true. But from your point of view, it seems like I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to tell you something different. I'm trying to fill your head up with loads of nonsense as well. But the thing is, I'm right and you're fucking wrong. Ultimately, that's the difference. I'm right and you're wrong. But you can't accept that because you're not seeing it from my point of view. Even though I can see it from your point of view, but your point of view is like you're in the dark. You're fumbling around in the dark. You're never going to be happy. And I'm happy, more or less. I'm happier. I'm getting happier every day. And what do? You hate me for it because you want to be happy. When you see me, who seems like a crazy person, and I'm happy. And so rather than realize that you might be wrong and that I might be right, you would rather get rid of me. You would rather destroy people like me so that I'm not there and you don't have to think about it and you can carry on like believing in your written word and your technology and carry on destroying the planet. I mean, you force people like me into this sort of like endless war. You know, this is why I don't advertise my name, you know, my real name or where I live, because I know if I did, it wouldn't be very long until people like just sort of like try to find out where I, you know, come and like basically give me a really fucking hard time. Not for any good reason, only because you just are not thinking clearly and you hate anything you can't understand. Let me just carry on here. I do not underestimate the importance of the left hemisphere's contribution to all that humankind has achieved and to all that we are in the everyday sense of the word. In fact, it's because I value it that I say that it has to find its proper place so as to fulfill its critically important role. It is a wonderful servant, but a very poor master. Just as those who believe that religions are mistaken, or even that they have proved to be a greater source of harm than good, must recognize that they have given rise to many valuable and beautiful things. I must make it clear that even the Enlightenment, with a capital E, though I have emphasized its negative aspects, manifestly gave rise to much that is of enduring beauty and value. More than that, the right hemisphere, though it is not dependent on the left hemisphere in the same way that the left is on the right, nonetheless needs it in order to achieve its full potential, in some sense to become fully itself. Meanwhile, the left hemisphere is dependent on the right hemisphere both to ground its world at the bottom end and to lead it back to life at the top. But it appears to be in denial about this. I bang on about denial. Okay, I'm just stopping the text there. You know, I've talked about the fact that people are in denial. The left brain people are in denial. This is I'm quite happy about reading this book because it confirms and, you know, affirms a lot of most of the stuff I've been talking about in a lot of my videos for the last 5 years. How left brain people are in denial. The vast majority of people are in denial about things like the written word. It's the written word is the mainstay of the left brain thinker. Okay. What else do we got here? Okay, I'm not really happy with this part, this last little section here, this last paragraph, because as far as I'm concerned, we could do away with the written word. The left brain people tend to regard right brain people, intuitive people, as primitive and backward, right? The problem I have with that is that they're destroying the planet. I mean, I can really, it's so easy. For me, I can labour the point. I mean, if you came home today, just try and imagine it, you left brain people, right? Which is virtually everyone. If you came home, from work or from going out one day and on some sort of journey, and you come back home and there are all these people destroying your house. Imagine how you would feel. People are destroying your house, right? Got sledgehammers breaking your house up. Are you going to be happy? Are you going to think that it's okay? Oh, well, you can always go and find a new house, right? But most people, I think, even left brain people, are going to be very, very pissed off if they see people destroying their house. I mean, there's a fucking great film about this and a book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It uses that very same symbology right at the beginning of the film and the book. He's having his house destroyed, and he doesn't want to put it. He doesn't like it. This is what left brain people are doing. They're destroying the planet, not just one little house, but the whole fucking planet. Obviously, it's not going to happen in a few hours like it would do with a house. It takes centuries to destroy a whole planet. It's going to take centuries, but we're well on the way. We're like a third of the way in to destroying the planet. Once we get to the sort of like halfway mark, it's going to basically more or less collapse by itself. We're very close to the point where we're going to basically, it will be too late. We won't be able to reverse it. And this is what it seems to me that these left brain people don't seem to understand. You're not seeing the big picture, and you're not understanding that what you're doing is creating the worst possible scenario for everybody. Because you're blindly looking for more and more efficiency. You've got problems like the religions, like the Catholic religion, telling people that you've got to go forth and multiply and replenish the earth. I'm gobsmacked and fucking almost amazed the fact that you can't understand the very simple words replenish the earth. I mean, what bit of that do you not understand? Replenish the earth. I understand you've got the go forth and multiply bit. You've got that down pat. You can have sex, you can have more children, you can create more people. I understand that bit, but you don't seem to get the replenish the earth. You're doing the fucking opposite, you fucking idiots. You're destroying the earth, like it says in Revelation. The people that follow the mark of the beast, they're destroying the earth. That's what you're doing. We're in a man-made mass extinction event. What the fuck's wrong with you? You seem to get half the sentence. You got the first half of the sentence correct. Yeah. Oh, you can go forth and multiply easily enough. There's loads of fucking Catholic people creating loads more children. Oh, and I see these videos. Oh, why are you destroying the rainforest? Oh, I need to feed my children. I can't feed my children, so I have to become someone who chops down the rainforest to feed my children because I'm a Catholic. I need to make more children. You're like a fucking virus. This is why I just understand that Agent Smith. I understand Agent Smith when he says you people are like a fucking virus. You behave like a virus. You're not replenishing the earth. You're thinking with your fucking penis and your vaginas. You're not thinking with your fucking brain. I can't even read anymore. It just makes me too angry how you people are so fucking, you're literally, I'm talking to people that where their brain is in their fucking penis or their vagina. That's where their brain is, right? and it makes me so fucking annoyed. I can't carry on this video. I could do, but I'm just like, it would be like, I know I'm wasting my time. I know no one's going to listen. Okay, thanks for watching, anyone. Oh well, no comments anyway. I can't stop reading I can't carry on reading any more of that. When I get to this sort of point, I know that this is why the written word is so evil, because of things like the Bible. It contains quite a lot of interesting facts about being spiritual, and it deceives people. The best lies are full of have got lots of truth. Now, the Bible is a fucking really clever lie because it's got lots of truthful things, very spiritual knowledge in there. You know, love. You know, what does it say? Love your neighbor like yourself. Things like that. You know, and. But also you've got because the church is like acts like a hierarchy, and it tells you to sort of, oh, don't worry, you'll go to heaven when you die. Don't worry about it. Just keep fucking destroying the world and having more children. You know, don't worry. The church will, the church fathers will look after everything. The Pope and his fucking paedophile fucking followers will keep everything under control for you. You know. You just swallow it all. You're fucking totally mindless. You're like insects. You're like cockroaches. You're like a virus. You know, and if people like me come along and point this out to you, which is undeniable, you will deny it. Even though it's undeniable, you will still deny it, and you will still use your fucking cock and your fucking vagina to do all the thinking for you. Even though you've got a huge... Why did God put this huge fucking brain in your head? What the fuck? Well, he must have been mad, mustn't he? Putting this huge brain and you don't even use it. It's using up like a quarter of your oxygen supply, and you're not even using it. You know, you won't use it. He must have made a fucking mistake, isn't he? God is a fucking idiot. You know, God. I'll tell you what. God has got a tiny little brain like that. He's like got a brain the size of a pea. He accidentally thought he had this stupid idea that I know I'll create humans with an enormous brain. And what do? You think with your fucking penis and your fucking vagina. And how many brain cells are in your penis? 0. None. How many brain cells are in your vagina? Maybe 1. Ah, dear. Ah. I think that's it. You know, I don't really see the point in carrying on with this. I've got no people watching anyway. I don't blame you. It's like, you know, as far as I can tell, it's like most people are left-brained. Even the right-brain people, if they watch this video, are like, you probably haven't got any hope. You know, it's very hard to have any hope in this world. That things are going to turn out better. I haven't read the rest, even the whole of the conclusion, let alone the whole book. I've still got a fair amount to go. I'm about 4 pages into the conclusion. Oh, maybe 8 or 9 pages into the conclusion. It's how many pages is it? It's like 35 pages long or something. So I've still got another 25 pages to go or so. But from what I can tell so far, yeah, I don't even know. Yeah. He's not, as far as I'm concerned, so far, he's not critical enough of the left brain. The left brain is the critic, by the way, you know. Maybe he's too right-brained, I don't know, but the problem is with left-brain people, they don't take criticism very well, you know. They don't take on responsibility very well either. They want to control everything. It's all about conformity with the left brain. You know, this is I think this is what the video is called, about conform. The left brain, just like communism, tries to get everybody to conform, everyone to be the same, everyone to be equal. The right brain tries to sort of like stick with more like with nature. Now, I've got problems with both sides, you know, both of these things. Reality is quite messy. It's not clear cut. You know, it doesn't fit in either category. There needs to be some sort of balance. The problem is the left brain tries to get dominance, and it doesn't. It's not fair. You know, it doesn't. It's not. It doesn't have a. It doesn't acknowledge the right brain way of looking at things. Whereas, unfortunately, the right brain, which is mostly a lot more right, I mean, in terms of being correct, than the left brain, it's much more tolerant, you know, and so it allows the left brain sort of like kind of communist fascism and dominance to take control. And then what happens is you end up with like the dumbed down school system, and they try to sort of destroy the right brain thinkers, which is what the school system does. And it's why you get people like me who make these fucking videos that like, I just keep banging on about the written word being a terrible thing, because it causes like these left brain people to develop things like communism, which is like a terrible thing. And well, in a lot of ways is a terrible thing. And conformity, and creating a man-made mass extinction event. I mean, you know, I just made a few comments recently on a video. It doesn't really matter which video it was, but it was someone talking about global warming being a terrible thing and very dangerous. But as far as I understand, global warming is not really a big deal. You know, the global temperatures go up and down all the time. You know, over thousands of years, and you know, global temperatures are constantly moving up and down anyway. It doesn't matter what we do. So, because the temperature of the sun, the amount of heat that the sun's giving out changes from throughout the years. It's sometimes it gives us more heat, and sometimes less. So, and also the planet might, for some reason, there could be a certain alignment of planets that, you know, that makes the Earth move out further out into space, so it's further away from the sun. And then you get another load of influences that bring it closer back to the sun. And this can happen over hundreds of or thousands of years. And there's all kinds of reasons why temperatures on the planet can go up and down. So global warming happens and global freezing. That's why we have ice ages. And we've had all these ice ages in the past. Was that because that humans were like not producing loads of greenhouse gases or something? You know, it seems unlikely. It just, these things happen anyway. You know, people get fevers sometimes and their temperature goes up and then it goes down. You know, maybe they've spent too much time outside in the cold and their temperature goes down. You know, these things just happen. But creating a man-made mass extinction event because we're creating too many chemicals and we're destroying too many like ecosystems around the world, that's something that we can change. We can't necessarily change global warming, you know, but we can prevent a man-made mass extinction event by stop going against nature, trying to control nature. It's about the left brain thinkers trying to control everything and to think that, you know, and to be in like tunnel vision and to not see the big picture. Now, there's simple solutions to this, but they won't try them. I've tried talking about these before. I don't think, and no one's come back to me and said that they've tried them. Has anyone tried Gotu Cola and Bacopa Monieri, like Asiatica Centrella and Brahmi? You know, that's the Brahmi and Gotu Cola and Asiatica Centrella and Bacopa Monieri. There's two herbs that when you put them together, that they balance your left and right side of your brain. This is a much simpler, much more straightforward way of balancing the left and right side of the brain, as opposed to doing something like ayahuasca. I mean, the problem is, right, all these so-called Christians, they're not going to do ayahuasca, right? Because mainly it's probably against the law. That they're going to think of it as like the devil's, you know, the devil's sort of like a trick of the devil, you know, the devil's sort of like herbs or something. And they think themselves Christian. I mean, Christ would have done these things. Christ would have taken, as far as I'm concerned, Christ would have taken ayahuasca. You know, it makes you much more spiritual and much more like a better Christian and a more genuine human being. But the vast majority of people that call themselves Christians, they're left brain people. They think that a book, you know, is better than a drug, you know, that makes them, that balances their brain chemistry. They'd rather have a book which is basically going to unbalance their brain chemistry and make them into a fucking monster than have a drug that was going to balance their brain, or two herbs that's going to balance their brain chemistry and balance their left and right brains. It's like you can tell these people, you can tell them the evidence, they still won't do it. They won't do it, you know. They won't take these things, even though they're basically like, so anyway, it's like I'm basically getting to the point where I've exhausted every possible way I can think of to try and get people to understand what's going on and to do the right thing. I haven't got anything back. There are also other things. If you're watching Mind Rape Art still, I don't know about your implant that you was telling me about the other day, but it sounded a bit like you might be like have tendencies towards schizophrenia. And there's a couple of things you can do is to take vitamin C niacin, vitamin B3 niacin with trimethylglycine TMG and vitamin C, but also a natural form of vitamin C. It'd be great to take something like Triphala, the three fruits from Ayurvedic medicine, a good quality one from somewhere like not hybrid herbs, indigo herbs from Britain. While the exchange rate is very good for the US, right, and UK in terms of people from the US, you know, so you could order some Triphala from indigo herbs. Get some niacin, you know, the flush niacin that makes your skin flush, and some TMG, trimethylglycine, which is sometimes also called something else. I forget what it's called. Sometimes vitamin B4, but not very often. Anyway, take those things because they get rid of the symptoms of schizophrenia. What it is when you talk about that implant, that's the sort of thing that's typically people that have schizophrenia talk about, or schizophrenic tendencies. Just so you know. Ah, dear. And maybe I should have sent you a private message about that, not talk about it in the open. But I mean, how many people are going to watch this videos? I mean, you just have to put up with me, you know. Nobody. This is one of the reasons I keep my channel small, so I haven't got I don't have to upset people too much, you know. It's not like these video millions of people are going to watch this video or anything, you know. I'm over a minute. I'm over an hour long now, so I don't expect many people are going to watch this whole video. But if you do, you know, maybe try out those things, and also try out. I mean, Gotu Kola and Brahmi, because they balance the left and right side of the brain. Have you tried it? Has anybody tried it who's watching these videos? Has anybody tried Gotu Kola and Brahmi or Centrella, Asiatica Centrella? What's it fucking called? Okay, Gotu Kola, Centella Asiatica, and Bacopa Moniari, Brahmi. I'm just going to take some now because I don't take them enough probably, but they're really cool. I'm just taking one of each. One of the reasons I talk about this is because one of the most recent lie that they've been saying about cannabis is that it can cause schizophrenia in young people. Now, not only do I believe that's a complete lie, because everything else they've ever said about cannabis to try and maintain its illegality and prohibition has been absolute total lies. And when all the other lies have been proven wrong, now they suddenly say, oh, cannabis can cause schizophrenia in young people. But there's a simple cure for schizophrenia. It's niacin and vitamin C. You know, it gets rid of all the symptoms of schizophrenia. So that's who I'm going to finish on. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you're watching, have a great day. Thumb up the video, share with your local doctor, and subscribe to my channel, and have a nice warm bath with some magnesium sulfite in it. That will do you some good. Okay, bye.